My name is Morella Kingsley, and I'm 35 years old. And to understand how we got to the point where my sister-in-law was standing in my kitchen with a belt in her hand, you have to understand my family and the way jealousy can sink its teeth into a person and never let go. I grew up in suburban Chicago, in one of those neighborhoods where the lawns were edged perfectly, and everyone knew how many A's you had on your report card. My older brother Nicholas and I used to be inseparable. We shared a bathroom, a childhood, and, for a while, a dream that the world would always feel that small and safe. Nicholas was the golden boy. Tall, easygoing, good at making people laugh. I was the driven one, the girl who stayed up late studying and color-coding her notes. Our parents bragged about both of us, him for his charm, me for my grades. It never felt like a competition. We were a team. Then Nicholas married Karen. Everything changed, and I didn't want to admit it. Karen had a son from a previous marriage, Tyler. He was 3 when they got married, a sweet kid with big brown eyes and paint always smeared on his fingers. I remember the first time he stayed over at my place. He drew a crooked dinosaur on my fridge and told me very seriously that its name was Sir Chomps-a-Lot. I fell a little in love with him right then. 6 years passed. I had Lily. Lily came into the world with wide, curious eyes, like she was already taking notes. By 9, she was devouring chapter books, especially anything with magic and quests. She begged me to let her stay up late, just to finish this chapter, which usually meant 3 more. Tyler, at 9, was different, but no less wonderful. He struggled with reading and math. It wasn't laziness. He'd been diagnosed with learning disabilities that made decoding words and numbers feel like wading through quicksand. He went to extra tutoring at Huntington Learning Center twice a week and spent more time with his resource teacher than at recess some days. He also had a left foot that could bend a soccer ball like nobody's business, and a sketchbook full of dragons better than anything Lily and I could ever draw. They were both good kids, just different. That difference is where the crack started. I never thought learning styles could become weapons. I was wrong. The real trouble began about 18 months ago, when Lily and Tyler ended up in the same 3rd grade class at Riverside Elementary. On paper, it sounded cute. Cousins, same age, same class, walking into the building together with matching backpacks and mismatched personalities. I pictured school projects and sleepovers and pictures for grandparents. Instead, it became a scoreboard. At first, it was subtle, a comment here, a look there. Lily brought home a report card full of A's and a note from her teacher calling her a joy to have in class. Tyler's report card came with more mixed marks and a note about continued support in reading and math. At Sunday dinner, sitting around my parents' polished oak table, I saw the way Karen's smile tightened when Lily's grades came up. "It must be nice to have such an easy kid," she said with syrupy sweetness, taking a bite of my mom's pot roast. "Some of us have children who actually have to work for their achievements." The words were light, but the implication was heavy. Lily's success wasn't real work. Tyler's struggle was. "I never said it was easy," I replied, forcing a laugh. "Lily just likes school. Tyler's amazing at soccer. I can barely get Lily to kick a ball in a straight line." Karen's eyes flicked to Lily, who was reading a Percy Jackson book at the table, her fork moving absently to her mouth. "She could put the book down at dinner," Karen said sharply. "It's rude to rub it in other kids' faces when you're always reading above grade level." "She's not rubbing anything in," I said. "She just really likes the story." Nicholas cut his potatoes into smaller and smaller pieces and said nothing. That's what he did a lot back then. Nothing. Then came the test scores. Lily tested into the gifted and talented program. She was offered accelerated math, 5th grade level work, while staying with her class for everything else. I cried when I read the email from the school, not because I was surprised, but because I was relieved she'd finally be challenged instead of bored. When I told my family at a brunch at my parents' house in Naperville, my mom served her famous blueberry pancakes. The room smelled like butter and vanilla, but the moment I said accelerated program, the air went heavy. "So now Lily gets special treatment while Tyler has to struggle in regular classes," Karen said, her fork clinking against her plate. "It's not special treatment," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. "It's appropriate placement. Just like Tyler gets support for what he needs, Lily gets work that matches her level. So Lily gets rewarded for being smart, and Tyler gets labeled slow. That seems fair." My father, the eternal peacemaker, cleared his throat. "Karen, the kids just have different needs. There's nothing wrong with that." But Karen's jaw had already set. I saw resentment harden in her eyes, something I didn't want to name yet. From that day, every one of Lily's achievements became an accusation in Karen's mind. If Lily helped Tyler with homework, Karen accused her of showing off. If Lily won the third grade geography bee, Karen said the teachers played favorites. If Lily brought a chapter book to Olive Garden and read quietly while waiting for food, Karen muttered that she was trying to make other kids feel stupid. I tried to manage it, to soften it. I praised Tyler's goals in soccer, his drawings, his creativity. I stopped mentioning Lily's spelling bee medals unless someone else asked. I told myself that was what you did for family. You compromised. You smoothed. You swallowed your discomfort for the greater good. What I didn't realize was that every time I smoothed, I also sanded away a piece of Lily's right to exist fully as herself. Mom, should I pretend not to know things so people will like me more? Lily asked me that one night, her voice small, as I tucked her under her constellation comforter. The glow-in-the-dark stars on her ceiling were the only light in the room. My heart cracked. You never, ever have to hide how smart you are, I told her, smoothing her hair away from her face. The right people will love you for exactly who you are. I believed that when I said it. I just didn't understand how far the wrong people would go to prove me wrong. By the time Nicholas quietly admitted that he and Karen were having marriage problems and were seeing a couples therapist, the tension around Lily's achievements had already become a constant background hum. What I didn't know, what I should have guessed, is that jealousy doesn't stay a hum forever. Sometimes it roars. And 3 weeks ago, when Nicholas asked if I could watch Tyler just for an afternoon while he and Karen went to therapy, I felt a flicker of unease I couldn't quite explain. I said yes anyway. I thought I knew where the line was. I had no idea Karen was about to cross it with a belt in her hand. If you'd asked me a year ago whether Karen would ever lay a hand on my child, I would have said no. I would have said, she's difficult, she has a temper, but she's still family. I clung to that word, family, like it was a shield. I didn't realize it had already become a weapon. The 18 months before the belt in my kitchen were like watching a storm build in slow motion. By the time you notice the clouds, the air is already charged. When Lily and Tyler started third grade together at Riverside Elementary, I tried to be optimistic. They'll look out for each other, I told Nicholas as we stood in the drop-off lane that first day. Lily and Tyler stood side by side, backpacks bumping, Lily's braids swinging, Tyler clutching a brand new pencil case like it was a treasure chest. Yeah, Nicholas said, forcing a smile. Cousins in the same class. What could go wrong? A lot, as it turned out. The first report cards came home in yellow envelopes. I remember the way Lily's fingers shook as she slid hers out, even though she never had to worry. All A's. A note about exceptional curiosity and leadership in class. Tyler opened his more slowly at my kitchen table, his brow furrowing when he saw the C's and D's. A note about continuing difficulty with reading comprehension and basic math facts, recommendations for more support. Hey, I said gently, leaning over his shoulder. These comments just mean the teachers know how to help you. That's a good thing. He nodded, but his eyes were glassy. Later that week, we were at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, the usual spread. My mom passed around a plate of homemade rolls, while my dad asked how school was going. Lily made the principal's honor roll, my mother beamed, already on her feet to grab the magnet-printed certificate from the fridge. We're so proud of you, sweetie. Lily smiled shyly, cheeks pink. That's nice, Karen said, smile too tight. Some of us have kids who don't get everything handed to them. No one laughed. Mom, can I show them my picture from art class? Tyler asked quickly, pulling a folded paper from his backpack. It was a watercolor of a soccer field at sunset, messy but alive. It's beautiful, I said immediately. You got the shadows just right. Lily leaned closer. The sky looks real, she added, sincere. But even Tyler's joy couldn't completely drown out the sour look in Karen's eyes when my mom stuck Lily's certificate on the fridge next to his drawing, side by side, like a comparison chart. As the year went on, the differences between the kids widened. Lily devoured the Percy Jackson series, then moved on to thicker books with smaller font. Tyler still stumbled over paragraphs, each line a hill to climb. I tried to keep things balanced at family gatherings. If someone brought up Lily's spelling bee, I steered the conversation toward Tyler's latest soccer game. If Lily mentioned a book, I made sure to ask Tyler about his art projects. But Karen didn't want balance. She wanted vindication. It must be nice to have such an easy kid, she'd say with that fake sugarcoating in her voice. Some of us actually have to work with our children. I work with Lily too, I'd say, just in different ways. Oh, please. She's one of those kids who reads at 2 and does calculus in kindergarten, Karen would mutter. Some of us don't get prodigies. The word prodigy made me flinch. Not because it was flattering, but because it turned Lily into a problem instead of a person. Nicholas heard all of this. Most of the time, he just went quiet, like someone pressing mute on a remote. When I pushed him about it later, he'd sigh. You know how she is, he'd say. If I argue with her in front of everyone, it just makes it worse. So you don't argue with her at all? I asked once, the words slipping out sharper than I meant. His eyes flashed with something like shame. You don't know what it's like at home, he said softly. He was right. I didn't. But I was starting to get a sense. When Lily tested into the accelerated math program, it was the first time I saw genuine fear in Karen's eyes. Not for Tyler, for herself. The program meant Lily would go to a different classroom for math, working a grade level ahead. She was over the moon. I read the email from school 3 times that night, then let her stay up 20 extra minutes just to celebrate. At my parents' blueberry pancake brunch in Naperville, I shared the news carefully, casually. I shouldn't have bothered. So now Lily gets special treatment, Karen said, her fork clattering against the plate, while Tyler struggles in regular classes. That's fair. It's not special treatment, I said. It's just meeting her where she is. Tyler has an IEP, right? This is Lily's version of that. They're both getting what they need. Oh, come on, Morella, Karen scoffed. One kid gets pulled out because he's behind. The other gets pulled out because she's ahead. Guess which one people brag about? My dad tried to diffuse it. Karen, both kids are doing the best they can. School isn't the only measure of success. Easy for you to say when your granddaughter is the star student, she snapped. And there it was. The quiet resentment became loud. After that, Karen started creating little tests for Lily. At barbecues, she'd call across the yard, Hey, Lily, why don't you tell everyone the capital of all 50 states? If Lily answered correctly, Karen would roll her eyes and say, See, show off. If Lily hesitated, she'd smirk. Guess you're not that gifted after all. When we met at Olive Garden one night, Lily brought a book to keep herself entertained while we waited. Do you have to bring that everywhere? Karen snapped as soon as she saw it. Put it away. You're making other kids feel bad. Lily's hands stilled on the pages. She slid the book under her chair without a word. In the car afterwards, she stared out the window all the way home. Did I do something wrong? She asked finally. No, I said. You're allowed to love reading. Then why does Aunt Karen get mad when I do? I had no good answer. Because your existence makes her feel like a failure, as a mother sounded too cruel to say out loud, even if part of me believed it. I started limiting how much time Lily spent around Karen. Shorter visits, fewer sleepovers, more excuses. We're busy that weekend. Lily's got a project. I'm not feeling well. It worked for a while. The distance helped. Then Nicholas called one Tuesday night after Lily had gone to bed. His voice sounded like someone had wrung it out. Marilla, can you talk? Yeah, I said, lowering my own voice automatically, like Lily could somehow hear from the next room. What's going on? He took a long breath. Karen and I, we're in therapy. Things have been bad for a while. The yelling, the everything. I pressed my fingers to my temple. Nick, I'm sorry. She's under a lot of stress, he continued. Money, work, Tyler's school stuff, the whole thing with Lily. It's like she thinks everyone is measuring her against you. I'm not competing with her, I said. I never have been. I know that, he said. I'm not sure she does. There was a pause, and I could almost hear him debating something. Look, we have another therapy session in a few weeks. We can't bring Tyler. Could you watch him that afternoon? Just a few hours. They said it'd be good for us to focus. I hesitated. Images flashed through my mind. Karen's barbs at dinner, the way she'd stare at Lily's worksheets like they were personal attacks, the way Lily's shoulders hunched whenever her aunt walked into a room. It's just you and Tyler, right? I asked. Karen won't be there? No, he said quickly. Just us. We'll go straight from the house to the therapist's office and back. Promise. Tyler loves being at your place. He says he feels less stressed there. That last part hit me right in the chest. Of course he can come, I said. He's my nephew. I told myself it would be fine. Kids playing Mario Kart, homework at the kitchen table. Something simple, something normal. I didn't know that therapy session would end early. I didn't know Karen would use the spare key I'd given them for emergencies. I didn't know she would walk into my house that day and see exactly what she had been trying not to see for 18 months. Her son struggling with multiplication. My daughter flying through advanced math. And something inside her would finally break. 3 weeks later, Tyler was at my dining table, paint on his fingers, laughing while he and Lily turned backyard rocks into animals. The house smelled like acrylic paint and marinara sauce. For once, everything felt light, easy. I remember thinking, maybe this is what it could be like if it were just us. Just the four of us. Me, Lily, Nicholas, and Tyler. No sharp comments, no comparisons, no scorekeeping. I left them at the table to switch the laundry, humming under my breath as I folded a fresh pile of towels. That's when I heard the front door open. Not the careful three-tap knock my brother always used. The metallic click of a key in a lock. My stomach dropped before my brain caught up. She's not supposed to be here, I thought. By the time I stepped into the hallway and saw Karen's silhouette moving toward the kitchen, shoulders tense, steps clipped, the air in my house had already changed. I had no idea I was walking toward the moment my definition of family would be torn apart. The sound of Karen's heels on my hardwood floor was too sharp, too fast. Like every step was a warning I had ignored for far too long. I moved toward the kitchen, laundry basket still on my hip, trying to swallow the sudden knot of dread rising in my throat. "Karen?" I called out, forcing my voice to sound calm. "I wasn't expecting you. Is everything—" But my words died in my mouth the moment I saw her face. Karen wasn't angry. She wasn't irritated. She wasn't even flustered. She was locked in, eyes dark and glassy, jaw clenched so tight a vein pulsed at her temple. Her gaze flicked once to Lily's completed math worksheets, neat rows of decimals and fractions solved correctly. Then to Tyler's page, where 3 simple multiplication problems were scrawled out with shaky handwriting and crossed out attempts. It was as if the universe had arranged the evidence for her. "What's going on here?" she asked, voice too calm, like a held breath before a scream. I shifted the basket to my hip. "Just homework time. The kids were playing earlier. They've been really good today." Karen didn't look at me. She lifted Lily's math sheet between 2 fingers, scanning it like it offended her. "These are 5th-grade problems," she said slowly. "Yes, she's in the accelerated program." Karen dropped the sheet onto the table like it was something dirty. Then she snatched up Tyler's worksheet. He flinched when she grabbed it. "You've only done 3?" she hissed. "Tyler, what have you been doing this whole time?" "I'm trying," he whispered. "They're hard." "She's already finished her entire assignment," Karen snapped, jerking her chin at Lily. "Why can't you work as fast as she does?" My heart kicked hard. "Karen, they're doing different work," I said, stepping between her and the kids. "It's not a race. Lily's homework is more advanced." "Oh, please," she said, waving me off. "They're 9. If Lily can finish, Tyler can finish." "That's not how learning works," I tried again. "Tyler's doing his best." "His best?" Karen spat. "His best looks like this?" She slammed the paper down. Tyler winced. That was when Lily, sweet Lily, who always tries to fix things, spoke up. "Aunt Karen," she said softly, "I make mistakes all the time. Yesterday I messed up long division 3 times." Karen whipped around, eyes blazing. "Nobody asked for your input." Lily froze, all the color drained from her face. "And don't lie to make Tyler feel better about his poor performance." Lily's voice cracked. I'm not lying." "She thinks she's so smart," Karen snarled, stepping forward. "Always has to be the smartest one in the room. Always has to show off." I moved fully between them now, heart pounding. "Karen, that's enough." "Kind," Karen barked out a humorless laugh. "Your daughter is condescending, Marilla. She rubs her success in everyone's face." "She doesn't," I whispered. "She absolutely doesn't." But Karen wasn't hearing me. She wasn't hearing anything. I saw something shift in her expression. Something wild. Something unmoored. "You've raised her to think she's special," she hissed. "A little princess who looks down on everyone who has to work harder than she does." Lily was crying now, silent tears sliding down her cheeks, her hands curled into fists in her lap. "I didn't mean to," she whispered. "I was just trying to help Tyler." "You were showing off," Karen roared. "Stop yelling at her," Tyler cried, voice breaking. "She didn't do anything wrong. She's always nice to me." But even her own son couldn't pull her out of it. "Don't defend her," Karen snapped. "She makes you look bad, Tyler. Don't you see? She gets perfect grades while you struggle. She's making a fool of you." "No, she isn't," Tyler shouted, tears streaming. "We're just different. I'm better at soccer and drawing." Karen clenched her fists, breathing hard, like she was building towards something dangerous. I saw it a split second before she acted, the moment her fury turned into intention. She stepped toward her purse on the counter, fingers diving inside, her movements sharp and jerky. "Karen," I said, voice rising, "what are you doing?" She didn't answer. When her hand came back out, she held a thick brown leather belt. Her belt. I'd seen it 100 times before. I had never feared it until now. She wrapped one end around her hand, tight. I'm going to teach your daughter a lesson, she said, her voice disturbingly steady. She needs to learn respect. Everything inside me snapped. Put the belt down, I demanded. No. She stepped past me like I wasn't even there. Karen! I reached out, but she shoved me aside with a strength I didn't know she had. Someone needs to teach this little girl some humility, she said. Lily screamed before the belt even came down. And then, crack, the sound of leather against skin. A sound so violent it didn't seem possible inside my own kitchen. Lily's scream tore through the house like glass shattering. Tyler shouted, Mom, stop! I lunged. I grabbed the belt mid-swing. Karen snarled, pulling back. I yanked so hard she stumbled into the refrigerator. How dare you hit my daughter? I screamed, voice shaking with adrenaline and terror. She needed it, Karen shrieked. She needed to learn. No, I said, no more. Lily sobbed, crumpled against the wall, her small body heaving, red welts already rising on her skin. Tyler was screaming. Karen was panting. My own heart was a drumbeat of rage. I didn't feel fear, not yet, just fury. And clarity. This ends now, I told her. Get out before I call the police. She stared at me, chest rising and falling, belt mark on her wrist where I'd ripped it away. For one strange moment, she looked stunned, as if she didn't fully understand what she'd just done. But I did. I knew exactly what she'd done. And I knew, with finality settling into my bones, that I wasn't staying silent this time. Not for family, not for peace, not for anything. I reached for my phone. My hands were shaking so violently I almost dropped it. Karen's eyes widened. Morella, don't you... I hit 911 with my thumb. This is family, she hissed. You wouldn't... This is assault, I said. And yes, I would. The operator answered. I gave my address. My voice did not waver. And for the first time in 18 months, Karen looked scared. Really scared. But not nearly as scared as Lily had been while Karen held that belt. Get out of my house, I said again. Now. Karen backed toward the door, eyes darting between me and the belt, lying on the floor like a severed snake. She left, and the second the door closed, Lily collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I held her, careful not to touch the fresh welts on her back, and whispered over and over, You did nothing wrong. Nothing. Tyler cried too, apologizing for something that wasn't his fault. And I sat there on the floor, holding both children, waiting for the police, realizing the world I had fought to keep intact had just shattered. And maybe it needed to. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember wiping Lily's tears or pushing my own hair out of my face. But I remember the look on Tyler's face, wide-eyed, terrified, guilt swirling in his little chest, like he thought any of this was his fault. Tyler, I whispered, brushing a hand gently over his trembling shoulder, none of this is because of you. Do you hear me? He nodded, crying harder. I told her to stop. I told her Lily didn't do anything. I know, I said. You were brave. The doorbell rang. 3 fast knocks. The police. And suddenly everything became painfully, vividly clear. There would be no hiding this. No smoothing it over. No pretending it was family business. This was criminal. And I was done being quiet. 2 officers stood at the door. Officer Rodriguez and Officer Chen. They stepped into the house with calm professionalism, but their eyes sharpened the instant they saw Lily's face, tear-streaked, her posture crooked from the pain across her back. Ma'am, Officer Rodriguez said gently, we received a call about a child being struck. Yes, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. It was my sister-in-law. She used a belt. Where is the child who was hit? Officer Chen asked. I guided them to the kitchen, where Lily stood gripping the counter, trying to be brave, trying not to cry again. Sweetheart, can we see your injuries? Rodriguez asked softly. You're not in trouble. Lily's lip trembled. She nodded. I lifted the back of her shirt slowly, careful not to brush the welts. Both officers inhaled sharply. They exchanged a look. This wasn't a spanking. This wasn't discipline. This was violence. Do you have proof of what happened? Chen asked. Wordlessly, I handed him my phone with the photos I'd taken earlier, angry red stripes across my daughter's skin. And she did this? Rodriguez asked. The aunt? Yes, Karen Brooks. Is she still in the house? She left, I said, but she used a spare key to enter without telling me. Rodriguez wrote quickly. Did anyone else witness the incident? Before I could answer, Tyler stepped forward. His voice was tiny, but determined. I saw everything, he said. My mom yelled at Lily. She hit her with the belt because Lily is smarter at school stuff. The officers froze. And did Lily do anything to provoke or threaten her? Chen asked carefully. No, Tyler whispered. She was helping me. I asked her not to, but she was being nice. Mom got mad because Lily finished her homework faster. Rodriguez nodded slowly, jaw tight. That's when Karen returned. Of course she did. Storms always circle back. Mirella. She burst through the door, hair wild, eyes frantic, voice pitched high with panic. Don't you dare twist this. I was disciplining her. She was being arrogant. Officer Rodriguez stepped in front of me immediately, hand raised. Ma'am, please stop talking. Karen blinked like she'd been slapped. I have the right to explain. Not right now, Chen said. Ma'am, step aside. Karen tried to dart around him toward Lily. Chen blocked her again. She needed to learn respect, Karen cried. She's always showing off. That's enough, Rodriguez said firmly. His voice carried the weight of a man who had heard every excuse in the book and never accepted a single one. Ma'am, hitting a child with a belt, especially one who is not your own, crosses the line into physical abuse. Karen stared at him like she couldn't comprehend it. She was being disrespectful, talking back. She wasn't, Tyler said, voice breaking. She was helping me. Karen snapped toward him. Tyler, don't you lie. Ma'am, Rodriguez interrupted sharply. You need to stop speaking to the children, now. Karen's breath quickened. Her eyes darted between the officers, me, and the belt lying on the floor where I'd thrown it. You can't arrest me, she said weakly. This is a family matter. No, Rodriguez replied. This is a criminal matter. When he reached for his cuffs, Karen finally snapped out of her trance. No, wait, I didn't mean, I was just trying. But it didn't matter. Intent doesn't erase harm. They cuffed her hands behind her back. Nicholas arrived just in time to see his wife in handcuffs on my living room rug. Mirella, he breathed, eyes glassy. What happened? Before I could speak, Lily sobbed behind me. Nicholas saw the welts. His face crumpled. He staggered back like he'd been punched. I didn't know, he whispered. I didn't know she'd do something like this. Yes, you did, I said quietly. Not the specifics, but you knew she hated Lily's success. You knew how she talked to her. He closed his eyes. I thought it was just jealousy, he said. I didn't think she'd... He never finished the sentence. Some sentences don't want endings. At the hospital, everything smelled like disinfectant and sorrow. Dr. Patricia Sullivan examined Lily with a gentleness that made tears pool in my eyes. She's going to heal, the doctor said softly. But this was intentional force. The marks are too severe to be accidental. I'll file a mandatory report. Do it, I whispered. Please. Afterward, while Lily lay on the exam bed, face turned toward the wall, I stroked her hair. Baby, I said, voice shaking. You didn't do anything wrong. Not one thing. Her voice was so small I almost missed it. Aunt Karen said I make people feel stupid. Am I a bad person? No, I said fiercely. You are brilliant and kind and curious, and the world is better because you're in it. Her tears soaked into my sleeve. I held her and made a promise right then. Never again would I let someone shrink her light to make someone else comfortable. Never again would I excuse cruelty as family tension. If the price of protecting my daughter was breaking ties, then so be it. I would burn every bridge before I let someone hurt her again. By the time we left the hospital, Karen was already booked for child abuse and assault. Tyler was taken into temporary protective care while the situation was assessed. Nicholas looked like a ghost, shattered, humiliated, heartbroken. And me? I walked my daughter to the car, holding her hand gently, feeling the weight of what had just happened settle into my bones. Across the lot, I saw Karen through the back window of a squad car, wrists cuffed, mascara smeared. And I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not triumph, not pity. Just a cold, hard understanding. Some people break because life hurts them. Others break because they cannot tolerate anyone else rising. Karen was the second kind, and I was done letting that kind anywhere near my child. The days after Karen's arrest felt unreal, like I was moving through a world slightly tilted on its axis. Everything looked the same. My street, my house, Lily's favorite cereal sitting on the counter, but nothing felt the same. The illusion that family problems stay in the family had shattered for good, and honestly, it needed to. Karen was charged the next morning. Child abuse and assault. Her mugshot spread through the local news faster than I expected. A dental hygienist in a respectable suburban clinic. A mother. A woman who attended PTA meetings and church picnics. Everyone knew her face. No one could understand what she had done. Except me. And Nicholas. And Tyler. Poor, sweet Tyler, who now had to break his entire worldview into pieces and rebuild it from scratch. 2 days after the incident, a CPS investigator came to my home to speak with Tyler again. Nicholas arrived with him, looking hollowed out, like he hadn't slept since the arrest. Tyler clung to my side the moment he walked in, and Nicholas saw it, his jaw clenched. Not in resentment, in heartbreak. The investigator asked Tyler simple questions. He answered honestly. When asked, "Has your mother ever hit you like that?" Tyler hesitated, eyes lowering. Nicholas inhaled sharply, a father sensing a truth he wasn't prepared to hear. The investigator made notes. By the time they left, Tyler had been placed under Nicholas's temporary care. Karen's visitation, suspended pending psychological evaluation and court review. Nicholas stood in my driveway afterward, hands in his pockets, shoulders sagging. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "I swear I didn't know she was capable of this." "I believe you," I said, and I meant it. But I also believed something else. He'd ignored signs he didn't want to see. We both had. Nicholas moved fast, faster than I thought he could. Within 1 week, he filed for divorce. No mediation, no negotiation, just a single, exhausted sentence he said to me on my porch one night. "I can't raise my son with someone who hurts children, Morella." And then the quieter confession, voice breaking. "What if next time it's Tyler?" I didn't have a comforting answer. Some truths don't soften. Karen pleaded guilty rather than risk a trial. Maybe she hoped for leniency. Maybe she finally understood she had crossed a line no one could unsee. Her sentence, 8 months in jail, 2 years probation, mandatory anger management, no contact restraining order against me and Lily. Her employer, Bright Smiles Dental, fired her the moment her conviction became public. Her landlord evicted her when she couldn't pay rent from jail. Every action she took against Lily ricocheted back into her own life like a boomerang. Not because I willed it, but because that's how truth works. You hit a child with a belt in 2025, the world doesn't look away anymore. Most of our relatives were horrified, appalled, unwaveringly on my side. But Karen's mother and sister, they tried to frame the attack as discipline gone too far. She was under a lot of pressure. Lily pushes people's buttons. Maybe Morella overreacted calling the police. Overreacted to a belt on a 9-year-old child. I stopped answering their calls. Some people don't deserve the energy it takes to explain basic decency. Healing is never linear, but it does happen. Lily still has dreams sometimes, the kind where she wakes up gasping, reaching for me, but they're becoming less frequent. Her therapist, Dr. Sandra Martinez, has helped her reclaim her confidence, piece by delicate piece. "Being smart doesn't make me a bad person," Lily told me one afternoon while making chocolate chip cookies. "It's not my job to pretend to be less so someone else feels better." Her voice was steady, sure, beautiful. I blinked away tears before she could see them. "Exactly right," I whispered. "She's doing well in school again. Not hiding her books, not shrinking herself, not apologizing for the way her mind works. And Tyler, he's blooming. Nicholas signed him up for a soccer league and art classes. His teachers say he's calmer, happier, more confident. Children thrive when fear leaves the room. Sometimes late at night, after Lily has fallen asleep and the house is finally quiet, I sit at the kitchen table, the same table where everything shattered, and I let myself feel the complicated truth. I loved my brother before all of this. I still do. But the version of us that existed before the belt, that's gone. I don't know if it's lost or just changed. I only know that I can't pretend anymore. Family is not an excuse. Family is not a shield for cruelty. Family is not a reason to stay silent. Protecting my daughter cost me a relationship I once believed was unbreakable. But protecting her was never optional. It was instinct. It was duty. It was love. And if I had to choose again, I would make the same choice 1,000 times. A few evenings ago, I found Lily curled up on the couch, reading a book so intently she didn't notice me standing in the doorway. Her face was peaceful, focused, unburdened. Sunlight streamed through the window, catching the coppery strands in her hair, making her look almost ethereal. For a moment, I let myself breathe, really breathe, knowing she was safe, knowing that the world had tried to dim her light and failed. I sat beside her, brushing a kiss against the top of her head. She leaned into me without looking up from her book, comfortable, unafraid. That's what all of this was for. Not revenge, not victory, just this. A child allowed to be herself without fear. And now I ask the same question I asked myself that night, the one that changed everything. What would you do if a family member laid their hands on your child because they were jealous of your child's achievements?